He was standing in his own house when cold metal snapped around his wrists. Fake HOA cops were dragging him out, talking about violations and non-compliance. He knew they weren't real, and they thought they could get away with it. But they had no idea his brother was a SWAT commander. What happened next, they never saw coming. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted and ready to collapse on the couch, when a loud, aggressive knock rattled the door. My heart jumped in my chest. The kind of knock that makes you instantly nervous. I glanced at the clock. It was almost 9 p.m. Who the hell would be knocking this late? I opened the door and froze. 2 men stood on my porch, both wearing police-style uniforms with white patches that read HOA across the chest. They were built like cops, short buzz cuts, muscular frames, and the kind of hard, assessing eyes that made you feel like you were already guilty of something. The taller one had a square jaw and a scar running down the side of his neck. The other was shorter, leaner, with a sharp, almost rodent-like face. Both of them wore utility belts, handcuffs, tasers, the whole setup. "Mr. Evans?" the tall one asked, his voice low and commanding. Yeah?" I replied, confused. "We're with the HOA," the taller one said, flashing a badge so quickly I barely registered it. "We've had multiple reports of violations on your property. We need to inspect the premises." "Violations?" My brow furrowed. "What kind of violations?" "Trash cans left out after pickup day. Excessive noise complaints," the shorter one added, looking me over like I was some kind of criminal. "That doesn't make any sense," I said. "I've never had any problems with the HOA." "Well, you do now," the taller one said, stepping closer. "Let us in." I hesitated. Something felt wrong. I had lived here for 5 years, and I knew for a fact that HOA officers didn't have the authority to conduct searches. But before I could say anything else, the taller guy shouldered past me and stepped into the house. His partner followed, closing the door behind them. "Hey, wait a second," I said, stepping toward them. "You can't just walk in here." "Oh, we can do a lot more than that," the tall guy growled. Before I knew what was happening, he grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back. Pain exploded through my shoulder as I was shoved against the wall. Cold metal snapped around my wrist. Handcuffs. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted, struggling to pull away. "You're under HOA arrest for non-compliance," the shorter guy sneered. "You can't arrest me," I yelled. "You're not real cops." They ignored me. The taller one tightened the cuffs painfully around my wrists. My heart slammed in my chest as they dragged me toward the door. That's when it hit me. These guys weren't real cops, and whatever they were planning, it wasn't going to end well for me. My wrists were burning from the tight handcuffs as they yanked me toward the front door. My heart hammered painfully against my chest, adrenaline flooding my veins. Every instinct screamed at me that this was bad, really bad. These guys weren't cops. They weren't even HOA officers. They were criminals, and they were getting away with it. "Let me go!" I shouted, twisting my wrists against the metal. The tall one yanked my arm harder, nearly pulling my shoulder out of its socket. "Keep struggling and we'll add resisting arrest to the list." "You can't arrest me!" I growled. "You have no authority. This is illegal." "We have full authority from the HOA," the shorter one said with a smirk. He reached down and pulled a piece of paper from his jacket pocket, waving it in front of my face. "It's all here in the report." I squinted at it, but my vision was blurred with rage and panic. It looked like some kind of official letterhead, but I could already tell it was fake. My stomach twisted. "You think you can get away with this?" I hissed. The shorter guy leaned in close, so close I could feel his breath on my face. "We've gotten away with worse," he whispered. That's when the rage kicked in. White-hot fury bubbled up inside me, pushing aside the fear. They were playing me, treating me like some idiot who'd just let them waltz in and take whatever they wanted. My hands curled into fists behind my back. "You've got the wrong guy," I growled. "Oh, yeah?" the tall one sneered. "And what are you gonna do about it?" That's when the realization hit me like a lightning bolt. My brother, Kyle. Kyle wasn't just any cop. He was a SWAT commander. And if there was one thing I knew about Kyle, it's that he didn't play games when it came to family. "You seriously screwed up," I said, my lips curling into a smile despite the pain shooting through my arms. "What the hell are you smiling about?" the shorter guy barked. "You're about to find out," I said. The taller guy shoved me toward the front door. "Enough talking. Let's go." As they pushed me down the steps, I saw my neighbor, Mrs. Carter, standing at the edge of her driveway, clutching her phone. She looked horrified, but frozen. No one was going to help me. My mind raced. They were taking me somewhere. And if they got me into that car, I wasn't coming back. "Let me go!" I shouted again, twisting my body. "You're not in charge here," the tall one growled. The shorter guy grabbed my chin, forcing me to look him in the eyes. His pupils were small and dark, completely devoid of humanity. "Nobody's coming to save you," he whispered. My blood ran cold, but they had no idea who they were messing with, because Kyle was already on his way. I twisted hard, jerking my arm free. "You guys seriously screwed up," I hissed. "Oh yeah?" The tall guy laughed. "What are you gonna do about it?" "Not me," I said. "But my brother? He's a SWAT commander." Their expressions darkened. "Bullshit," the smaller one said. But it was already too late. The sound of tires screeching tore through the street. A black SUV came to a sharp stop at the curb. The door flew open and my brother, Kyle, stepped out. Tactical vest, Glock on his hip, face carved from stone. "Get your hands off him," he barked. The fake cops froze. "Oh shit," the smaller one whispered. Kyle's team spilled out of the SUV, weapons drawn. "Drop the handcuffs and put your hands where I can see them," Kyle ordered. The big guy tried to bolt, a flash of panic across his face, but Kyle was faster. He tackled him to the ground and had him face down in the dirt in seconds. His partner didn't even try to run. He just dropped to his knees, hands in the air. Kyle knelt next to me, unlocking the cuffs. "You okay?" "Yeah," I breathed. "Thanks for showing up." Kyle glanced at the two men now face down on the ground. "Who the hell are these clowns?" "Fake HOA cops," I said. Kyle's jaw tightened. "Not anymore." The real police arrived within minutes. The fake cops were cuffed and shoved into the back of squad cars. Turns out, they'd been running a scam, breaking into houses under the guise of HOA inspections and robbing homeowners blind. Kyle stood next to me as the squad cars pulled away. "You really think they thought this would work?" Kyle asked. "They thought they could get away with it," I said. "Guess they picked the wrong house." Kyle chuckled. "Next time, just call me sooner, okay?" I didn't think I'd need backup for an HOA inspection. Kyle clapped me on the back. "Now you know." I watched the last squad car disappear down the street. My wrists still ached, but the anger had turned into something colder, a quiet satisfaction. The fake cops were going to jail. And they'd learn soon enough that impersonating law enforcement wasn't just illegal. It was a great way to get on the wrong side of a SWAT team. And honestly, that was justice.